Let's execute an immediate high-gear tactical vector shift away from the frozen, high-frequency professional hockey arenas, intense locker room proximity dynamics, and corporate athletic franchises of the sports world, and plunge directly into the warm, calculation-heavy tracking grids of sweet and steamy contemporary Omegaverse dynamics, complex pack scent profiles, and the deeply protective world of small-town autumn sanctuary survival. We are crossing the threshold directly into the mist-shrouded, spice-scented streets of a cozy mountain valley, exclusive rural pack compounds, and the lethal analytical parameters of a highly passionate, protective nesting alignment with pumpkin spice KNOTTY NIGHTS, the exceptional pulse-pounding third structural deployment anchoring the globally dominant chart-topping Whispering Grove series by the absolute undisputed sovereign of deeply atmospheric, high-tension, cozy Omegaverse romance, complex biological pheromone chemistry, and high-velocity emotional suspense, Harley Knight. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers a thrilling look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, independent, underestimated Omega asset running an emotional survival loop, a powerful, dangerously territorial pack of protective alphas, and an absolute defense of a found family's sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of high-octane, slow-burn romantic fantasy thrillers where a targeted, hyper-observant protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of small-town pack politics, high-stakes seasonal heat cycles, and a deadly ring of active administrative or external alpha gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised rural ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep physiological scent profiling, calculated environmental manipulation, and absolute psychological stamina to outmaneuver an invisible upper-class predatory syndicate, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, cozy fall sanctuary unearthing a lethal clannish conspiracy diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural survival perimeters, this book is engineered to lock you in. Knight completely dominates the cozy Omegaverse reverse harem dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like Lana Cole, Catherine Moon, Lillian Lark, and A.M. Hargrove, while treating realistic bakery or cafe operations, complex biological tension structures, and protective dynamic tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central Omega protagonist, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of past pack trauma, deep-seated societal dynamic discrimination, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by encroaching external corporate or alpha syndicates. Behind their rigorous cafe operation footprints and tense community center logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried emotional secrets, and sharp, high-stakes seasonal maneuvers. Our central protagonist's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of outrunning exploitation, their entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden biological threat vectors, parsing complex behavioral shifts from their powerful protective alpha partners, and shielding their vulnerable personal nesting autonomy nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless corporate or regional cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches their active scanning perimeter. As the autumn season enters its peak harvest tier, a series of suspicious property development threats, targeted small-town setups, and calculation-heavy physical or social ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate them from the valley sanctuary. The official diagnostic metrics of the local council tracking centers flash white-hot when their presence and pack alignment reveal that their unique bond is radically impossibly altering the town's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine small-town life and peaceful autumn protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the valley, where deceptive out-of-town syndicates, highly manipulative family elders, and a calculation-heavy underground real estate team launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the cozy local coffee shops, dark mountain trails, and private fortified pack compounds into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our veteran survivalist protagonists are forced to deploy their massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw emotional stamina to maintain their perimeter before the next seasonal shift permanently deletes their progress. When deceptive romantic red herrings, corrupted property ledgers, and calculation-heavy local ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete their path, their survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an arrogant external alpha behind standard community barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at their reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the regional elite's deceptive parameters completely unwrapped as Knight reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial setup or managing a complex seasonal heat cycle. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of corporate greed and genetic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective web of absolute loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure their sanctuary, our resilient heroes must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of their final boundary lines. It is a cozy Omegaverse romance, reverse heron suspense, small-town, small-business drama, high-velocity contemporary autumn noir masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-cent match confession triggers a fatal property showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active town gathering, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes cafe confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite corporate executive has completely mapped your personal pack coordinates carries massive structural weight. Knight writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blend voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic rattle of commercial baking trays, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of a mountain cabin before a crisp autumn storm, and the distinct, subtle scent of pumpkin spice, roasted coffee beans, sweet vanilla pheromones, dry maple leaves, burning hearth fire, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this third franchise entry into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes pack dynamics and genuine romantic power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and rural underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs, before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Pumpkin Spice KNOTTY NIGHTS is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes reverse harem romance and contemporary cozy fantasy suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the